Bride broke up with fiance but did this on her wedding day. Falling in love is one of the most beautiful experiences that you can have in life. And of course, after falling in love with each other, a couple typically makes plans for a life together. If everything goes well in the relationship, the happy pair will then, eventually, go on to plan their wedding, honeymoon, and future. Unfortunately, life is unpredictable. Sometimes love does not last. And in the case of this one particular bride-to-be, the love did not even make it to their wedding day. It sadly fizzled. But rather than letting everything that their short-lived love built go to waste, she decided to do something amazing. Let's just say that she made and shared sweet lemonade out of the sour lemons. The lady in question started out like other typical brides-to-be. She and her boyfriend wanted to take their relationship to the next level, and of course, the next logical step was to get married and make their relationship truly official. Unfortunately for her, things changed. What initially sounded like a wonderful idea began to look more and more like a terrible one. As time passed and her wedding date neared, this bride-to-be had developed a change of heart about her fiancé and their future together. It is a bit normal to get a harmless case of nerves or cold feet before a momentous occasion. It is only human to let excitement, stress, and emotions get the better of you every now and then. But usually you overcome such feelings of fear and doubt, especially once you remind yourself how much you want and need to do what you're about to do. Alas, with our bride-to-be, she was not just stressed, nervous, and worried. This bride-to-be sensed that something was genuinely not right. She realized that this wedding and marriage were not meant for her any longer. Unfortunately for her, she had come to this conclusion a little too late in the game, shall we say. Her wedding celebrations were just 1 week away. The venue was booked and the gown was chosen. She felt overwhelmed and trapped. Was it too late to change her mind? So who exactly was our bride-to-be that was having doubts about her upcoming wedding? Well, the bride-to-be was Colby Sanders. She was only 24 years old with her whole life ahead of her, and she appeared to have a bright and happy future. She also looked to be in a happy and fulfilling relationship. After all, she was already months into the process of organizing her fairy tale wedding. To outsiders, Colby was in an enviable position. And who was Colby's boyfriend and fiancé? His name was Skylar. The pair had actually been in a relationship for over 4 whole years and had been engaged for the past 18 months in their relationship. And with a 4+ year relationship and 18-month engagement, a beautiful wedding and successful marriage were the expectations. I mean, some marriages do not even last for 1 year, so from the outside, the couple looked destined for a lifetime of love and happiness together. And as you would expect, after being in a 4+ year relationship and an 18-month engagement, Colby Sanders' family members were excited for and invested in her wedding plans. Her mother and sister were especially supportive and involved, being there every step of the way. The two of them were part of the wedding planning from the beginning for months. They helped her to scope out the venue, to taste the wedding cake, to choose the wedding gown, to pick the bridesmaid dresses and everything. Colby's mother and sister were not the only people in her life who were celebrating her engagement and upcoming marriage. After all, Colby and Skylar were together for more than 4 years. And as a result, their family and friends were clearly all cheering them on during the wedding planning. All that excitement and all the commotion surrounding her engagement and wedding plans, though, did not leave Colby with enough space and time to reflect thoroughly on her decision to get married to Skylar. Colby was so caught up in all the wedding planning and such that she did not really have a chance to notice that something fundamental was missing deep down. Because of all the love and support that their family and friends were showering them, Colby and Skylar clearly got caught up in all that commotion and simply went with the flow. All their families and friends had such high expectations for the two lovebirds and their nuptials that Colby and Skylar decided to go all out. The couple decided to buy the best that their money could buy. They made sure that they would look the part with the perfect wedding day outfits. And of course, what is a wedding without beautiful wedding decorations and the perfect wedding venue? So the couple booked the popular wedding and event venue Bellevue in Tyler, Texas. Weddings are not known to be cheap, and Colby and Skylar's wedding was no exception. In fact, Because Bellevue was such a sought-after setting for weddings and other types of momentous events, the couple had to pay $3,500 alone in order to get the wedding venue of their dreams. But you cannot really put a price tag on something that will complete your perfect wedding day, right? After all, in theory, your wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event for you and your partner in crime. So it is going to be the day that you, your spouse, your families, and friends will remember forever. As their wedding day approached, everything seemed to be going according to plan. The venue had been secured, the wedding dress had been chosen and fitted, the caterers were selected, and the invitations had been sorted. Colby and Skylar were finally getting close to the finish line. You would think that Colby would be relieved, right? Weddings are stressful to plan after all, so seeing the finish line should make any bride happy. But this was not the case for Colby. Despite having everything in order for her wedding to take place without a hitch, she was literally losing sleep over her decision to get married to Skylar. Things were off. Colby and Skylar's wedding day was just 1 week away. The two lovebirds would finally get to make their relationship official in the presence of all their families and friends. The couple was only days away from saying their I do's. You would think that Colby would be able to sleep soundly now that all her wedding preparations were finally done. Wedding planning is tiring after all. But unfortunately, Colby was not relieved. She was deeply concerned about her decision and her upcoming nuptials. Colby did not sleep well even though her wedding day was finally 1 short week away and her wedding planning was finally over. No, instead, she spent that evening wide awake in her bed, tossing and turning as she stared at the ceiling. She got out of bed that following morning with the realization and conclusion that she simply could not ignore her concerns about her upcoming nuptials anymore. Colby knew that something was truly wrong, and it was not just the sleep deprivation that was talking. Even though Colby had not told Skylar about her concerns about the upcoming nuptials yet, her current state gave her away. After all, Colby looked absolutely sick and miserable at a time in her life when she should have been the happiest. Colby clearly had not slept well, her eyes were red and puffy, and she did not even touch any of her food for breakfast. Skylar accurately suspected that something was wrong, and Colby was finally ready to come out with the truth. So Colby finally said to Skylar, "We need to talk." Even though their families and friends had been showering them with all sorts of love and support in the last few months leading up to the wedding day, Colby just could not shake off the feeling that something was simply off about their upcoming nuptials. They were doing everything properly with the help of their loved ones who had invested so much into their wedding day as well. But Colby knew deep down that everything was not right, and Skylar could tell that Colby was about to tell him that something was wrong. All of the warning signs were showing in Colby's tired eyes and unusual behavior. Skylar could sense and literally see that what Colby was about to share would not be good. Not good for him, at least. Colby started to tear up. She could not hold it in anymore. She needed to tell Skylar how she felt about the upcoming wedding and marriage. This could be the moment that the dreams and hopes the couple had had for each other and their relationship would come to an end. What exactly was wrong? Well, Colby finally mustered enough courage after mulling over it for days to tell Skylar that their relationship had lost its spark. Colby still loved Skylar, of course, as a person, but the couple had lost that special something in their relationship and between them. She loved him, but she no longer felt that special kind of love for him. She felt like their relationship lost it months ago. It was the toughest and bravest thing that Colby Sanders had ever done in her entire life. After all, planning the wedding was not just something that she and Skylar had become invested in. No, their entire families and their friends had become involved in the process, so her decision to end the engagement and cancel the wedding would affect all of her loved ones, not just Skylar. Unfortunately, during all that wedding planning, Colby neglected to listen to what her heart was really telling her, so she did not come to the realization that the wedding was not for her until it was really all too late to salvage all the time and money that were spent. Even though Colby was finally able to tell Skylar the truth, she was not exactly free. Sure, she was finally getting that load off her chest and getting to unburden herself by finally being able to tell her fiancé that she did not want to get married. But Colby now had to deal with the consequences of her decision to break it all off. After all, her wedding and marriage were a family affair. The families and friends had committed a lot of time and money to help the couple make their wedding dreams come true. So Colby felt terribly guilty for all the wasted time and money that she had cost her loved ones. It was impossible to give people back their invested time, and it was far too late to get monetary refunds. Colby became depressed as a result. Colby was having an overwhelming morning. Not only had she just ended her 4-year relationship and canceled her wedding, but she had just disappointed her family and friends as well. After all, their loved ones had invested tons of time, energy, and money to help make their wedding possible. Colby did not know what to do. She hated the thought of being the cause of so much waste, so she began to start sobbing as she thought about how everything would go to waste, like all the money that went to the wedding venue and the wedding decorations. Luckily for Colby, a brilliant idea came to her during that moment of immense sadness. Colby Sanders thought more and more about the predicament that she had gotten herself into. She thought about her wedding and the wedding venue. The thought of wasting it all really upset her. After all, she could not get a refund from the wedding venue, Bellevue, in Tyler, Texas. It was far too late. But then she realized that the venue could still be used for a wedding, even if it would not be for her wedding anymore. Her mind then came up with a great idea to do some good. She knew that she could turn something bad into something good. What was Colby's brilliant idea? Well, after she spoke with her ex Skylar and called off the wedding officially, she started to think long and hard about how to turn everything around for the better. She did not want to wallow in her own self-pity. She wanted to move forward. So within 24 hours, she decided to call the wedding venue, Bellevue, talk to its owners, and come up with a plan to donate her venue reservations to another couple and for their nuptials. But where would she find such a deserving couple on such short notice? Colby did not have much time remaining until the wedding date of her canceled wedding, so she had to work fast. And as a result, she turned to social media for immediate help. She logged into her Facebook account and uploaded a post looking for couples that were interested in getting married on October 20th, which was the date of her now canceled wedding. And then she waited patiently for any takers to reach out to her. But Colby did not have to wait too long. After all, the event venue Bellevue was quite popular for weddings, so her post got a lot of attention. The attention did not just come from hopeful couples, though. Colby's selfless act and gesture to turn her sad story into another couple's happy ending really touched a lot of and a wide variety of people. And even caterers, makeup artists, photographers, and dressmakers wanted to pitch in by offering their professional services for free to the fortunate couple that Colby would choose. Needless to say, Colby's Facebook post got a lot of hopeful couples' attention. I mean, who doesn't want to have his or her wedding venue paid for by someone else, right? So how did Colby select the lucky couple? Well, first she reviewed each hopeful couple's story, explaining why they wanted and deserved to get a free wedding venue for their wedding day. She then handpicked the couples with the most touching stories. Last, she entered the selected couples into a draw, letting chance ultimately make the final decision. Why did Colby choose to pick the lucky couple this way? Well, her Facebook post got a lot of hopeful couples to reach out to her, and she wanted to make sure that her act of charity would really go to and benefit a deserving pair. So that is why she made the effort to review each couple's message to learn more about their reason and their story. But of course, there was not just one couple with a touching story and reason. Colby had to devise a way to pick the winning couple from that pool of the most deserving pairs, and so she came up with the use of a draw. Truthfully, though, there was one couple that had the most touching story out of the bunch. Yes, after reading through all the messages from hopeful couples that wanted the opportunity to get married at Bellevue for free, thanks to her charitable act, Colby did come across one specific couple's story and reason that touched her the most, even though she received a lot of interest and messages from many deserving couples. Who was the most deserving couple? They were 22-year-old Hallie Hipsher and her fiance Matthew Jones. The couple's story of financial hardship really resonated with Colby the most. So what made Hallie and Matthew so special? It could not possibly have been all due to their financial hardships. I mean, lots of people struggle with money. Yes, on the surface, the lucky couple's story did not seem extraordinary at all. They were engaged for roughly 1 year, but they were never really able to save up money for their wedding, so they just could not get to the point of actually planning their wedding and getting married. But Haley and Matthew had a very heartwarming reason as to why they could not save up the money. It turned out that Haley and Matthew were not so average when it came to being an engaged couple. The two lovebirds already had a baby named Riley. That is why they did not have the luxury of saving up for a wedding. This really touched Colby. Colby was convinced that this couple really deserved to get married with the aid of her charitable act. But there was more to Haley and Matthew's story. After all, there are plenty of couples that have children before getting married. No, this part of their story was really tragic. Haley wanted her grandfather to be there for her on her wedding day. Unfortunately, Haley's pawpaw, as she affectionately called him, had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So Haley was genuinely concerned that her granddad might never see her walk down that aisle to marry Matthew. After reading that, Colby did not really need another reason for entering the couple into the final draw. So Colby handpicked several other couples to enter into the final draw, along with Haley and Matthew, of course. Once Colby had entered all the most deserving couples into the draw, she was finally ready to draw the name of the lucky couple who would get her wedding venue for free. Sure enough, Colby drew Haley's name, and Colby was undoubtedly pleased. And so she made the official announcement on Facebook via a live video to share the news and announce the winners. Haley and Matthew were overjoyed. Not only would they finally be able to make their union and family more official, but also they would be able to do so with Haley's pawpaw as the guest of honor. So after waiting for so long to tie the knot and letting their financial situation get in the way of their dream wedding, the lucky couple could finally get married, and they could do so for free and with all their loved ones. What a miracle. Haley and Matthew were undoubtedly beyond grateful to Colby. Colby's selfless and generous act and gesture to do something positive with her own tragedy would make all their wedding dreams come true. So the lucky couple obviously asked Colby to be part of their wedding celebrations, and even though Colby was still recovering from the cancellation of her own wedding, she decided to accept the invitation. She even helped Haley with the last-minute wedding plans. And so, on that October 20th, Haley Hipsher and Matthew Jones could finally make their union official. And despite the fact that they had to send out their invitations at the very last minute, their wedding had quite the attendance. It even included Haley's pawpaw. Haley Hipsher finally became Haley Jones on that day officially. It was a dream come true. Haley's wedding dreams had finally come true thanks to Colby's charitable act. Haley was beyond happy. In fact, in an interview after her dream wedding, she said, "Throwing together everything on short notice was difficult, but worked out. Walking down the aisle was breathtaking, and I wouldn't want to change 1 second of the day because it is all I could have dreamed of and more." Colby Sanders' selfless act clearly got a lot of people's attention afterwards, too. Her Facebook post about wanting to donate the wedding venue of her canceled wedding went viral on Facebook. But that is not why Colby did it, of course. She was really happy to do something good for another couple, even though it was at the expense of her own relationship and wedding. Colby even said the following about what she did. "It proves that I did the right things with my own marriage and chose the right person. It was fate that I drew her name." Clearly, the whole story really attracted a lot of attention and interest. As a matter of fact, it was not just Colby who got the spotlight as a result. Haley, Matthew, and even Pawpaw started to have eyes all on them afterwards as well. Even though Colby Sanders was not planning to become famous for her charitable act, she genuinely wanted to do something good. What she did got a lot of media attention because so many people were touched and inspired by how she turned her tragedy into another couple's good fortune. But Colby has remained humble and has continued to emphasize what mattered the most. "This was natural to me. I didn't have to think about it. I'm really glad that she won. Her reaction definitely made all of this worth it."